back with another Coyle's Calcio Corner. JJ Coyle and Migran Fratello, Owen Luciano. Manchester United booking a date in the FA Cup final. First ever Manchester derby in the FA Cup final against City. Last week, you said you fancied Man City for a treble. How are we feeling about that now?
I think City will win the league. I think they'll probably beat United in the FA Cup final, although I want United to win. I think the biggest challenge out of the three is going to be Real Madrid in the semi-finals of the Champions League, because I think Pep said it himself, that in order for anybody to win the Champions League this year, the team that they need to beat is going to be Real Madrid. I mean, they've got the experience, they've got the professionalism, they've got the squad. But I've seen something different from City towards the end of this season. Ever since Pep called out De Bruyne, I just think they've been purring, and they're on course, aren't they, for a treble? Whether they do it or not is another story.
You're a big Haaland fan. What do you make of Haaland's recent performances?
I wouldn't say I'm a big Haaland fan. It's just when we've had debates before.
No, I mean like in terms of how you rate him, not in terms of every time he plays.
Well, the thing is we've what's it called, haven't we? Every time I've talked about Haaland, you've said that you think Mbappe is a better player. That's where you've taken the conversation when it comes to Haaland, the fact that Mbappe plays international football. But in terms of Haaland, what he's done for City, when there was an opportunity for Kane to go to City, for me that was the missing piece of the jigsaw. You put somebody in the box for City, it just gives them an extra string to the bow, makes them proper dynamic. And now you've got Haaland, and you've seen with his numbers, we know his quality, but the fact that you've still got to score them goals. I think 48 goals he's got so far, and in the Champions League against Bayern Munich, especially in that second leg, he just looked incredible. And I just think that he does give City a completely different attacking foot. They were already good without him, but I just think he just adds that little bit extra in. And if they do a double or a treble, or even win the league, a lot of it will be down to him, I think.
To me, he looks like the best striker in the world. It's not like, oh, you bring up Haaland, I bring up Mbappe. The question was once posed, who was a better player? And for me, I was saying, well, how do you take that as a better player? We're looking at what career they've had to date, what career they're projected to have, or how they impact the game at the moment. And for me, what I'm saying is that Mbappe is already arguably being one of France's most important players when they won the World Cup, let alone what he was doing this time round, and then obviously winning the title at Monaco. But just exclusively on Haaland, I look at a guy that for large periods of the season, his teammates weren't really looking for him. If they were looking for him, who knows what numbers he could have right now, because when he has had this service, he's been absolutely delivering. And then apart from the fact he's really, he's top class in front of goal, he's just got advantages over most of his opponents. He's quicker, he's stronger, and he's eager, he's keen, isn't he? He's like one of them guys who always wants to impress. He's got that tenacious work rate. He's got the full gambit. He's hungry. He's not won nothing really in terms of, he's won a German Cup. He's not really had that kind of. He's hungry to get going, isn't he?
If City win the Champions League, and let's say they win the Prem as well, would you say he's going to get the Ballon d'Or this year?
Well,
because ultimately that's.
I think
there's
what
determines whether someone's the best.
There's two questions to me. It's one, does he get the Ballon d'Or? There's another, does he deserve the Ballon d'Or? And I think if City go on and win a treble, and he has like a Diego Milito performance where he's like scoring in all the big games, then yeah, and he has done all season. So, but let's be honest, Messi's just led his team to the first World Cup. He's gonna get it regardless of what happens. But I think what Haaland's been able to do, if he gets City over the line, particularly in Europe, because City won the Charity Shield, League Cup, FA Cup and Premier League all in the same season that Liverpool won the European Cup.
Yeah.
And you look back at it and, you know, Liverpool are going to be more fond of winning the European Cup than them getting their domestic quadruple or 3.5 trophies. But I mean, I see them winning the league. I think Arsenal, you know, for me, it's just the fans that I'm not really a big fan of Arsenal fans and you know, the high profile fans. Piers Morgan, you know, and his Ronaldo tweets, just give it a break. He's the Ten Hag tweet. So I really want Arsenal to lose it for that. But at the end of the day, you know, it's just to see them burn a bit. I mean, and humble themselves. You know, they went. A lot of them went early with they've won the title, but let's be honest, it's still a positive season for them. Yeah, they might not win it again, and it's a massive disappointment. But they've still done well. They've still done well, and no one expected them to win it. If they don't win it, I expect City to win it. On the in the FA Cup, I'm just not sure. It depends what team we can put out there. I think if he would have played Maguire today, I know he's suspended, but if Maguire would have played, I wouldn't have felt positive about it, because I don't just think it's about his defending or transition defending. It's the opportunities that come from him being in the team in possession as well. I mean, you saw that a few times last year against Leicester. What him on the ball, dawdling, slow turns, not too comfortable. I mean, he does get forward well with a back five, but when he plays in a back four, and he's taking it from deep, I think he's untrustworthy with the ball. So that was the only concern I had going into the Sevilla game.
Yeah, I mean, well, just to bring it back to Arsenal, I think what Arteta's done has been unbelievable. And they've played some good football. And I've had conversations with different people about Arsenal this season. I think Saka and Martinelli, they've got some exciting youngsters in that team that look really good.
Yeah, I meant to say I like Arsenal too.
Yeah,
I like them as a team.
And what's it called? They deserve. They deserve.
And it goes back to the Matt and Keown incidents as well as all that. Because listen, I like TT Henry and.
See, the thing is when Wenger was the manager, there was that.
And Van Persie. I like Van Persie. But
when Wenger was there and Fergie, there was a bit of needle in between the two teams. That was the big game of the season, really. United Arsenal. They were the games that you used to look back on and think, you know, are we going to beat these guys today? But when I look at Arsenal at the moment, I think they're a quality side, but there's still, for me, question marks over some of the defending. They're very good at controlling the game, but also now what we're seeing is the character and the mentality, and the fact that maybe just the team is just too young. Really, doesn't have a lot of leaders, because you watch City now, the momentum with them, and I just think that Wednesday night, I think City will beat them comfortably. And I don't see him losing again. In terms of the league this season, I really don't.
The last time City played Arsenal and they won 3-1 at the Emirates, they just looked like they turned it up at half time. After I didn't think it was a penalty anyway, but he just turned up the press. And at that moment, I thought the team looks serious this season. You know, the way it's going to close it out. So I think they're going to chase down Arsenal, and it's going to be a memorable 3 in a row Premier League campaign. And the European Cup, it's the Real Madrid. They've got the champions, you know, and it'll be interesting to see if Real Madrid can keep it close, whether they suffer to certain pressure, because I've still not seen City fully tested at the back. And when I do see them tested, I don't.
They'll be tested against Real Madrid.
They should be. They should be.
Absolutely, because no doubt about it. But
this Real Madrid team has grown since we've won. You know, in confidence since they won the Champions League last year.
They're a quality outfit, and I love what Ancelotti's done with them. The fact that he's put Camavinga there on the left hand side as a left back. I think the midfield three: Valverde, Modric, and Cruz. And then you've got Vinny Jr. On the left, who's just unbelievable. Benzema, and then Rodrigo popping up with goals. And they've got players on the bench that can come off the bench and hurt you. So I think in the Champions League, there seems to be a bit of magic surrounding them. And it pains me to say, but sometimes you get that vibe when Liverpool are playing in the Champions League, that they can muster up a little bit of magic. But the Champions League is definitely Real Madrid's tournament for me.
Going back to Arsenal, how you're talking about just how their season's panned out, and you think that it's going to be too much for them. I mean, the first half of the season just seemed to go smooth in the Premier League, results-wise. I was seeing defensive mistakes not punished on, and it's still quite a new team in development, with the changes they've made. I didn't see them coming through any bumps in the road. Then they've had a couple of bumps, haven't they? And I think that's
they've not got the strength in the squad that City have got.
No, absolutely. But I think even look at Napoli, because Napoli, they had a nice smooth campaign all the way up until Osimhen got injured on international duty, and then 4-0 against Milan, followed by an exit against AC Milan. Osimhen out for the first leg in that, and it's like they've not really dealt with any bumps in their season, to show how they can bounce back. Now United have got good bounce back ability, good character, but they lack that depth, don't they?
Yeah, I mean,
because I was feeling confident going into the Brighton game. I just felt like, on one hand, I get Brighton are a dangerous team. They're going to have good possession, but I just felt like after that performance against Seville, which was so disappointing, I just felt like United were going to come out and really put on a performance and show character this game.
Well, they've showed that every time that they've lost, they've always won the next game. So they've showed that bounce back ability. But for me, I can't fully trust United at the moment, and I can't fully trust them because of what happened in that Liverpool game. Now that a team like we've got with a top manager like Ten Hag, he's shown to be a top manager. The fact that there's no way that he would have wanted what happened in that game, but I just saw an absolute capitulation. And when one of your rivals beats you that bad, you have to sit up and take a look at it. And because of that, I always felt to myself that when in big away games, United have still looked a little bit testing. We've always struggled against Spanish teams because of the way they set up and the way that they play. And I just felt against Sevilla, we went away, it was 2-2, and we thought it'd be a lot closer game than what it was. They actually controlled that game, Sevilla, and United almost just down tools. So although they've won today, it wasn't convincing by any means.
I think the disappointing thing for me in the Liverpool game is that we had Casemiro, we had Martinez, we had Varane, we had Shaw and Dalot. We had the core. The only player that I'm looking at in the team that I could have done without was Weghorst. He was out there touching the board, if you remember.
Yeah.
But looking at the rest of it, it looks like a first 11, and they got battered. So I think you're right in assessment. But I felt like at the time, sometimes a good hiding, so to speak, it can just let you've got a long way to go. In case anyone was feeling themselves because of the Carabao Cup victory.
It's still a work in progress.
Oh, see, we're on for a Liverpool double.
Yeah,
open top parade. What do you reckon?
No.
But they had an open top parade, didn't they?
No,
they
did. But
so I'm just thinking, if we get the FA Cup,
no, I don't think we can do that.
No, we've got a chance depending on who he can put out in the FA Cup, and I think he can't be playing Maguire in there, can he?
My expectations are that against City, we just don't allow ourselves to get battered. Stay in the game, compete, and then anything can happen. But my expectations are, I don't expect us to win. I want us to win, but I don't expect us to win. So that's the FA Cup final. What would be a good season for United now is just finishing in the top four. Finishing in the top four and having another good transfer window where we sign 3 or 4 world-class players, bring them into the squad, and then, hopefully Ten Hag with a pre-season, he's already made a lot of changes. Hopefully we'll have some new owners by then. And, we can start looking forward. But I just think at this moment in time, City just seem to have the momentum in terms of the league. But you don't know how Real Madrid's going to affect them in the Champions League. Is that going to derail their Premier League campaign? Well, if they have 2 tough games.
I do fancy Manchester City to win in the league. I think when they do cross over with that philosophy and that energy that they come in with, that current energy. This is the only kind of
the City versus Bayern Munich second leg. I watched City, what they were like off the ball. They were unbelievable without the ball, and they're brilliant with the ball. But they seem to have worked that out, because I didn't expect them to spank Bayern the way that they did.
Yeah, but don't forget Bayern Munich have just changed the manager, you know, and that
it probably would have been a more closer affair.
You're going into
Nagelsmann's still there.
You're going into a game, the most important game of the season against the top team, and you change your manager. So I mean, I don't think it's the same team, you know, like I know it's the same players, but I think that's a massive decision for Bayern Munich at that juncture in the season. I just think that they've got the momentum, they've got the force, they've got the opportunity to do it. But it's not a foregone conclusion, because Real Madrid can play counter-attacking football very effectively. Inter Milan are a counter-attacking team, very effective. AC Milan, a counter-attack.
Do you think one of the Milan's team have a chance in the final?
What I'm saying is, if you try and play against the Pep Guardiola team and you start trying to press them and you start trying to get fancy with them, they can just pick you apart and cut through. But if you play a team that will say, right, we know what these guys can do, we're going to sit in here.
I think Real Madrid will do that.
I think they will. But what I'm saying is, City possibly could, maybe 65%, they go through against Real Madrid, then they play Milan or Inter, and I'm saying both Milan or Inter can just keep it tight and play without the ball and offering a threat in transition.
Who would you say has got a bigger threat in transition? Because I think looking at the quarterfinals, AC Milan with Leao have got somebody there who, pace and power in terms of getting forward and running. He was absolutely relentless.
And that's one of the best assists I've seen. That.
Yeah, he was brilliant.
It's fantastic.
I think he causes problems.
He scored 2 goals against Napoli. I actually thought last season he was the best player in Italy, but this year he's I don't know. This year he seemed to be a bit off the boil, but he's come to life recently. And he's actually got more goals in the league this year. He's got 1 more goal in the league this year than he did last year. And, he's on about 12 goals, 6 assists in about 28 games. So his numbers are tidy. But I think in transition, if you're playing a counter-attacking style, him with his pace and his technique and his unselfishness to look and square the ball.
I don't think Inter or Milan or AC Milan have got a team there that can deal with either Real Madrid or City in the final.
No,
and whoever wins the Madrid City is going to win it, in my opinion.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that both of these teams that play counter-attacking styles, like Inter, have just overcome a really dominant Portuguese team in Benfica that I expected Benfica to beat them. They did it because they sit in and they've got outs. They've got 3 top quality forwards in Lukaku, Dzeko, and Martinez, who can all offer something. But then Barella just sat behind there, causing havoc in big games. A goal home and away, the header.
I like Barella, obviously, and I do like Inter, but
and then I know that AC Milan have
there's a drop off in quality for me.
I know that AC Milan have been without who they've been missing. Napoli have been without Osimhen, but AC Milan, they showed in transition. Napoli, a top team, what they were able to do with them, just sitting in, soaking up the pressure, defending.
Both Milan teams, the fifth and sixth in the league. Yeah, they're they can't win the league. Napoli's won it, so they're fighting for just to be in the Champions League next season. But this semi-final that's coming up, I think it's a big game for Milan. It's a big game for Italy, for Italian football. But
especially with Roma as well, and Juventus going through in the Europa League. I mean, for me, I feel like Italian football has been on its way back for a while. Aside from winning the Euros, obviously there's the mark of not qualifying for the last 2 World Cups, but I look at the big clubs, they got massively hit with the Calcio scandal.
Italian
Milan,
football, though, is
Juve.
still, we would still determine it to be lesser than Spanish football, English football.
No, but what I mean
German
is,
football
first,
as well.
First of all, you just have this one team in Juventus that made it to a couple of European Cup finals, but they were the only team doing anything in Italy, and Atalanta bubbling around there. Now you've just had Roma win the Conference League and now fighting for the Europa League.
Yeah.
They're on the brink of potentially getting into Champions League battle in there, so they look like a really decent unit. Lazio look like they could get into Champions League. Yeah, Napoli are obviously going to win the title, but it depends on what they do, who gets sold in the summer, for how they come again. But I'm just saying the top teams in Italy are all having a good trajectory, and that and you can't have quality players coming through if they're not playing under pressure in big tournaments for big teams.
I look at that AC Milan team sheet and I look at the Inter Milan team sheet, and there's some good players in there. There is no doubt about it. But if I'm comparing them to Real Madrid or Man City, for me, there's just a massive drop off in quality. We're not looking at the AC Milans of the past that we grew up watching, where you had Baggio and George Weah and Maldini at the back and Baresi and Albertini, Pirlo, these type of players, Dida in the sticks, Billy Costa Corta, all these type of guys. And the Inter Milans, when they had R9, Ronaldo, Baggio, Pirlo, they've had some quality players, Milito, Ibrahimovic, Vieri, all these type of guys. What was he called?
It'd be more fitting if Benfica and Napoli were in there for where both of their clubs are. But the reality is Milan won the league on a shoestring budget. Yeah.
Listen, it was incredible what they've done. Don't get me wrong.
And this season, they looked they collapsed after the World. They collapsed after the World Cup this season, but they've returned. They've returned with some adjustments tactically from Pioli, and Leao's just been on a tear. They've had contributions all going around. I think that AC Milan, as a club, are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, but
the Inter Milan, I weren't sure about them coming away from Conte into Simone Inzaghi. How's he going to handle everything?
Inzaghi's good in cup competitions. That's what he has got. He's got the ilk really of flexing the right.
Who's got the better team, Inter or AC?
I don't know. I think probably Inter, in my opinion, have got stronger
players, stronger
squad. I'd probably say Milan are a better team, but I don't think any of them can win the Champions League. That's just where I'm at. I think it'll be an unbelievable Champions League semi-final, and I can't wait to watch it. And and I won't be flying for either club really. I just want to watch a good game of football.
No, I think both AC and Real Madrid, both Real Madrid and City are destined to get to the final. They've been massive favourites. But what I'm saying is, in these two teams that play counter-attacking football, they will defend, they will be plucky and difficult to break down, and they will have outs, they will have opportunities.
They're not going to be able to. For me though, I look at City and Real Madrid's attack and what they can do, what Real Madrid have done to Liverpool, what City did to Bayern Munich, and I just think to myself, there's just not
going to be able to handle Haaland for sure. If
watching
City get it right,
watching AC Milan and Inter this season, they've had some good games, but they've not been really.
Where are you on the Mahrez Salah situation? He's still Salah over Mahrez. Mahrez just
I think
he's on fire, isn't he?
I know, and what I do like about Mahrez is the fact that he is dangerous on that right hand side. But I think if we're talking about players, I think Salah's a better player. And the other thing that I want to say about Mahrez is when I've seen him in the City Academy, he never stops off for a picture with any of the kids or anything, which I'm not a big fan of, to be fair. Shout out to Calvin Phillips, who stopped by and spent time with all the under sixes the other day. That was a nice, classy touch. And there are players like Jack Grealish. People say this, that, and the other about him. He's great. He's absolutely unbelievable with the kids. And for me, when you're a professional footballer, you are judged ultimately about what you do on the pitch. But once you have them little interactions with them and you see what they're like as human beings off the pitch, and I'm not saying he's not a nice guy, Mahrez, but you can't stop and have a picture with the kid.
I'm just looking at the football. At the end of the day, not everyone's Roberto Baggio.
No.
Yeah, are they? So you get when you got talent,
Salah. Though,
sometimes you get Del Piero and Azzola. Sometimes you get a Cassano or a Balotelli. It's the Canos.
It does pain me to say this, but Salah. I mean, the fact that he's been fasting as well, and he's been performing the way he's been performing while fasting.
He's doing a great job getting him into Europa League, isn't he? I mean, the Liverpool team are absolutely thriving. Yeah, when all the hype came down after the 7-0, all I could really say to myself is, you've got Real Madrid where you're going out.
You've got Chelsea. There's a few cracks at Liverpool, and if they can keep Klopp and fix the cracks, they'll be stronger next season, because they've still got big performances in them, and they've still got but we've already said this, that what he's trying to do now is difficult. What Klopp's trying to do, he's trying to almost like rebuild that.
I think it's different.
That structure,
I don't think it's different.
Rebuild his team.
I think it's different than cracks. I think there's infrastructural damage, and there needs to be some deep infrastructural changes.
What are you talking about? The ownership?
No, I'm talking about the makeup of the team, like the lost key pieces. So what I'm saying is, it's not just really a crack in terms of performance from one player or the other player. It's just that basically the loss of Mane is massively impacted.
But they've been riddled with injuries. They've been riddled with injuries
everyone's riddled with injuries. What I'm saying is, they already had a light squad. What I'm saying is, though, is that the change of that and the new additions, which are going to take a bit of time, there needs to be another couple of pieces crucially added into that team. It needs to be changed. It's not the team as a whole. They've got good attacking pieces, haven't they? And they've got a few pieces you'd want to work with, but as a whole, that team's not functioning I don't think it can in the Ronaldo Mane era.
But I think we've seen that it can when they battered us 7, by 7.
No, but I mean, listen, at the end of the day, that's
and the comeback against Arsenal.
That's United making their own mistakes. I mean, Varane, that was, he's just allowed him to cut inside there, hasn't he? For the first goal, and then Shaw's giving him the ball inside. It's just poor decision making. They didn't have to do a lot for that game to change the way it did, but that's down to, as much as they played well, that's down to United's inexperience and lack of evolution of the team. The team's growing. It's going through growing pains at the moment. There needs to be more pieces. He didn't even get a good backing, did he? In the January transfer window, you're one of the biggest clubs in the world. Talks of a buyout of ownership, and all you can give me is Weghorst and Sabitzer on a loan, which we appreciate what they've brought to the table and the support, but you should just be looking to back in a big bit. It's just poor business sense, isn't it?
I think there's a few question marks, isn't there? And one of them is they need to. The club's going to be sold hopefully by the summer. I hope the rumours that I'm hearing about an investment are false, because we need a fresh start. We need new owners in. But while we're on this subject of the buyout, where do you stand with being state owned? How do you feel about being state owned by the Qataris, for example?
I mean, for me, at this juncture, I look at American companies in America, the Glazers, and the way they've just kind of their business model, and it could have actually worked. The amount of money they were taking out and the amount of money that they were putting in, if they would have made better decisions with some of the investments. Yeah, because they made poor investments, and the head of the snake, Woodward as it was, and how he was trying to build the team. For me, there was just a gaping hole in defensive midfield, and the pieces he bought, the management situation. I like the move with Ten Hag, but I just don't think, when you look at it on a whole, what's actually happened is they've borrowed money to buy United, and they're just letting United's revenue stream paid off, and then they're taking money out of it. So for me, it's not. No, but what I'm saying is, if you're going to give me an investor, any other investor's not going to do that, are they? So you can't look at. So anyone who comes in now can't be worse than the Glazers. Anybody, it doesn't matter who they are.
So what you're?
I mean, but morally and ethically,
would you take the Qatari ownership? Would you be happy about that?
But I mean, I just think, I'd take it. I want the people that can invest the most. I mean, you've seen what they've done with what's happened at City, and what's happened at PSG with this level of investment. It goes into the community. I think they invest into the team. Look, at the end of the day, it's not with the people. It's not like it's staying with the people. It's in America. Do I want some other owners that have got actual money as opposed to people who are just looking at it as an investment property?
Yeah.
So no, I mean, I absolutely, want a guy who wants to win everything so he can brag with his other, when they get in the room together, United Nations, and he's like, yeah, how you doing? He's like, yeah, we got there first. So yeah, I mean, but it needs to be the right support. But I'm calm with United because we've got Ten Hag and he looks the real deal, and I love the way he conducts himself. I think we've got an absolute gem there. I do want to touch on Italy losing to England. It's the first time it's happened. Is it in 45 years?
Yeah, it's
I wasn't even born when it happened last time.
The thing is, though, even though
they were due one, weren't they?
Even though Italy lost that game, I mean, my take on it, and being said, oh, you've sour grapes and all this stuff, but my take on it is that this isn't a particularly great Italy team at the moment. The one thing that I like most about this team is the manager, Mancini.
I was on that. Reading your mind.
Yeah, Mancho for me.
It's like a little 1-2.
Incredible. What was horrible about that game for me was the fact that it was the first game without Vialli, which was obviously a bit somber. And the other thing was England got an early goal, which I just thought was just a mistake, really, from the corner. Di Lorenzo, you pointed out.
In Napoli.
And then the penalty, I mean, I just don't think it was. But apart from that, what it did show was that as a team, what we've needed for a while has been a number 9. And people have said, oh, Ciro Immobile because he's getting the numbers at Lazio and this, that and the other. And Mancho's had to go far and wide to find a number 9. But I really like the look of him. What do you think?
Yeah, well, just on Rettiger, I mean, just watching his goals that he scored in the Argentinian football, I like how he reads the situation and the type of finishes he's trying to do. So when the opportunity comes, he'll take it early when it's the right decision to take it early. Sometimes he's more patient. Left foot, right foot, heading ability. He's got cute finishes, but he's an intellectual finisher, and then he's a bit of a unit, and he can link up play. Well, it's just like, I don't mean like big, but he's a tall, strong, athletic guy. He's like 6 foot. So for me, yeah, I think he looks like a very promising, got good numbers too, promising centre forward for
great
Italy.
Work rate as well.
But I mean, this is just indicative of Mancini, who's just said, you know what, I'm having a look now. A manager who once upon a time said that, people born in Italy should play for Italy. Has since, casting the net far and wide. Willian Gnonto, though, who was in the academy when Mancini was Inter manager, he plucked him from Zurich. He's done well since he's been at Leeds. Looks a quality player, and you need to be able to have a meritocratic approach, and someone is going to open the doors to people. This guy gave Balotelli a chance, maybe like at least twice. Gave him his debut, played him again at City.
I didn't like the team that he picked though against England. I thought the defence was weak, apart from obviously Spinazzola. It was great to have him back, and on paper you'd like to think Di Lorenzo can. Yeah,
but just go into that. First of all, we had relegated him in the Nations League with a B team. When you think about, the forward line, we had Scamacca and Raspadori playing up front, 2 reserve players for their clubs respectively. And then in this game, we had no Bonucci was unavailable, and neither was Bastoni. So you've got 2 key players there that could have been at the heart of your defence. And we've just had to make a lot of changes. I'm not making an excuse for it. I just feel like, look, the Bellingham done well early and helped them get momentum. We had a very inexperienced type of group coming together again. They got the pitch. The first goal was that the That was it was Di Lorenzo getting caught at the back post, and then the second one was a penalty. I felt like the penalty decision for me, it looked like Kane was actually tussling with Di Lorenzo, and that might have knocked him off balance. You know, it definitely made contact. He misses the header, it hits his arm, it's completely accidental. That killed the game for me. They did show good spirit to get back in the game. Pellegrini with a nice assist. Retegay taking his finish well, and then obviously doubling it up in the next game.
I mean, to be honest, out of all the games that Mancini's been in charge, this was the one that I thought he got wrong tactically. It's the first time I've said that about Manchester. He got it right in the second half, but in the first half I think he got it all wrong. First of all, Toloi and Azzurri as centre-backs, not very, very confident. Obviously, Azzurri's been decent this season, but, you know, he for me, is he going to be, you know, in that Italian defence for the next 10 years as a stalwart? And I don't think so. And then in midfield, we've got a midfield that can control any game against any team in the world, in my opinion. We have Barella, Jorginho and Verratti, but for some reason, he's decided to play Verratti on the left wing. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And I think the reason for that was that I think Southgate got the better of him by putting Phillips on Verratti, because that's all Calvin Phillips did. He just marked Verratti and forced him out wide left so other Barella and Jorginho could get on the ball, but they couldn't affect the game.
But was this more
in the second half? As soon as he changed it and put Verratti in the centre, Italy controlled the game. I mean, we had everything really apart from the finish in the second half. We had all the ball.
I just look at it as Jorginho's inability to be effective in the first half of that game. You see Jorginho normally play very central, especially when we don't have the ball. Verratti to the left, Barella to the right, you know, as a three. And I felt like Jorginho, there's a couple of times the ball came to him, he intercepted the ball, and then he just played to keep possession rather than get us out in transition. He just made a couple of poor decisions. And it's a bad game for him. I mean, I'd like to see, obviously when Chiesa comes back, it's going to change the team again. But I think with Retegay, with Gnonto, Pellegrini in the midfield, I think we'll be just fine. There was a couple of defenders that were absent, but we've got Spinazzola back. I like Di Marco. I need to see more from Di Lorenzo because he's had a good season for Napoli, and he's now an experienced veteran at right back. I look at the right backs we've had in the last couple of decades, and probably the best one was Zambrotta, who was like a bit of a makeshift. Panucci used to give away a lot of cheap fouls, and I think Di Lorenzo has probably been one of the better right backs we've actually had. But so I don't expect these kind of sloppy mistakes from him, you know. But he almost looks better going forward than he does defending at the moment, you know, at times. Whereas, you know, I used to be able to say, well, this guy's more there for his defensive qualities, but he is a bit of a two-way player. But, you know, particularly the first goal, you know, when he lets Kane get free, and it obviously fell to, was it Rice? I just thought that was poor defending from him. But yeah, I mean, I look forward to seeing what Mancini does against Spain, really, in the I think that's who's back in the Nations League, isn't it?
See, the thing is you can see how the game's gonna go before it even kicks off because of the way Spain play. They like to hold the ball. They like to play from the back. But under Mancini, what Italy do is they do press and they do play high lines, and you know, so it will be hard for Spain if we do play like that. But if we sit back, they'll just control the possession.
No, Spain against Italy. In the last couple of times we played them, we made it difficult. They made it difficult in the Euros, but I felt like our tactical plan worked. We got the goal in transition. We looked deadly in transition. There's another time where Belotti could have put Berardi through and didn't. But you know what I mean? The openings were happening from our style of football. And then for their goal, Chiellini just walked away from Morata when he did a 1-2. So it was just like, it was poor defending. But tactically, the game was in our grasp. When we got to the Nations League and played in the Final Four, and we lost our unbeaten run to them, we tried to do something different, it looked like to me. We tried to go man to man with them, and we just had real difficulty with that. And then Bonucci got sent off, so we didn't really get to see it fully plan out.
Yeah.
But in transition, obviously, Was it Chiesa who got the goal in transition in that game?
Chiesa gives Italy a completely different
dynamic,
definitely.
But we've obviously seen Spain dominate some opponents and then struggle against other opponents. They just lost to Scott McTominay. Scott McTominay beat them. So if they're losing to Scott McTominay, then we can beat them. But it's just about getting the balance right. If we don't need to go too gung-ho and press them, because we can play in transition. If they want to have the ball in effective areas at times, maybe it's cute to just reserve some energy and know when to go. But we certainly don't need to overcommit. Yeah, I mean, are you still sticking by are you still fancying City for the treble? Is that where it's going? Or is that just a prediction?
No, I just think what it was a £10 bet with decent odds.
Yeah.
I think they'll win the league. I think a Manchester derby, anything can happen on the day. My expectations are that City will win that. If United win it, I'll be delighted, but I'm not expecting them to win it.
You can have a bit of confidence today from the fact that we got a clean sheet against an attacking team.
I want us to compete, but
without Maguire. So what I'm saying is, if Martinez and Varane don't come back, I mean, that might be the way to go. Because I feel like if I see Martinez in the FA Cup, Maguire in the FA Cup starting lineup, that's going to make me feel before the game starts we've lost the game.
The only team that I've seen reach the levels City have reached this season is Real Madrid, and that was over the 2 legs against Liverpool. I'm looking at all the other games and all the other teams. There's nobody that's reached them levels that City have.
Let me just say that Milan against Napoli in the 4-0 away win in the Maradona Stadium were outstanding. In terms of in transition, Napoli looked comfy. It started off well for 15-20 minutes. Every time they got the ball in transition, Leao was just unstoppable. And that's the way it looked the other night. I honestly, with AC or Inter, I just don't see either of them beating Real Madrid or City. I think that is the tie of the Champions League, that semi-final, and I think that arguably could be a final on its own. Both really 2 great games. Real City. I agree with the favourites, but as Grandad once said, the ball's round, anything can happen. I'm definitely, Switzerland knocked out France. They stopped us from going to the World Cup. North Macedonia as well.
Anything can happen in the game of football, but at the end of looking at it, he's talking about the treble prediction. I just think City will win the league. I think the FA Cup final. Now United are there.
Is it 70-30? I think we give them a chat. We give them a game. And we know we have beaten them, and then we have got Ten Hag, and by that time it's more of a case of what team can he put out and what team does he put out. But at the same time, we did lose the Dutch Cup last year after winning the league, so I'm not sure about. And obviously, he's playing against the juggernaut in Man City and Pep Guardiola, who want to win that game. So, but I just think we'll give them a game, and we'll have an opportunity to maybe score a goal and win the game.
I said that City were just miles ahead of the other teams, and they've gone out and bought Haaland. That's where I'm at with it all. I just think that...
You think they're cleaning up?
I do. I mean, obviously, like I say, to play any final...
Did you think they'd win it last year, though?
They think they'd win what?
The Champions League last year.
I thought they had a good chance, but again, if you don't have that killer number 9, you're always... You need... Look at Real Madrid with Benzema. If he gets a chance, he's taking it.
Yeah,
and it's the same with Haaland. If he gets a chance, he's taking it. These top strike, like Milan doesn't have somebody of that ilk, I don't think, because Leao plays out wide on the left, but he can impact the game differently. And I think Inter, as good as Martinez and Dzeko are, I don't really think they've got the killer instinct. But I think Benzema and Haaland as number 9s. I mean, they're 2 of the best in the world right there, aren't they? They're going to cause problems. Obviously, nice.
Listen, when Leao's playing like Leao can play, he's as good as anything on the left-hand side. He's as quick and as dangerous as anything. He won Milan the Scudetto. I think
AC Milan win the semi-final, to be honest, over Inter. I can see it.
Here's the other thing. Where AC Milan are good in transition because of Leao, and the forward runs they get from the likes of Tonali, etc., and Benasser. Inter, what they have is they've got Barella. When you're crossing the ball in with the likes of DeMarco, you've got Barella, Lukaku, Martinez, and Dzeko all challenging for the ball. The fullback system, they've got good relationships in the defensive fullback positions, on the out wide, inside. They look strong, and then when they get forward in the midfield, with Brozovic, and like I say, Barella, one of the predominant players.
Barella's into star, man.
With the three at the back, though, it allows Bastoni to go gallivanting forward, and he's got a quality left foot. So what I'm saying is, though, that they have got attacking. I think they can cause problems to most teams, so I wouldn't rule them out. Obviously, what is likely to be the difference maker is they've got Haaland, and if they play to Haaland, they'll get the goals, and then they can just see the game out.
But without Haaland, there is still quality. City control games with possession.
What happened against Real Madrid, Chelsea, though?
As good as Real Madrid.
What happened against Chelsea?
What, last season?
No, when they lost the European Cup.
Well, they got hit, didn't they, by the counter attack?
So what I'm saying is they can get hit by the counter attack.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say to you is City control games. And as good as Real Madrid aren't going to go out toe to toe with City. They're going to sit in. They're going to sit in and try and hit them on the counter attack, because they know if they go toe to toe with them, they'll get battered. Bayern Munich tried to go toe to toe with them.
It's not just about going toe to toe with another team. It's about understanding the game. You can control a team without having the possession. Like when Jose Mourinho beat Barcelona over two legs, playing his 5-3-2.
Well, that's when tactics overcomes.
Or
because
5-4-1, I think it was.
Inter, when they beat Barca, weren't a better team than Barcelona.
But what I'm saying is you're talking about controlling the game. You can have the ball, but if the other team's put in a position where it's going to be almost impossible for you to score, and they're sat in waiting, you can't penetrate them, and then when they've got the ball, they have all the space to run into. What I'm saying is that sometimes counter-attacking, you can control the game. Now, what I've noticed in the past with particularly Fernandinho is that when you try and break on Man City, there's just them little quick, cheap fouls. They stop you having any opportunity to counter-attack with these little niggly fouls. But City's defence for the best part of the first half of the season was all over the place. If it's calmed down
City
now.
Have the ball, but if City have the ball, they've got players in that team that can hurt you. If you let De Bruyne have the ball, if you let Gundogan have the ball, if you let Mahrez have the ball, Bernardo Silva have the ball, Haaland have the ball, these guys are going to hurt you. And at the end of the day, when I look at City and what they've got in terms of their goals, unbelievable. And just the system, the way that it all seems to be working right now. John Stones pushing into midfield, the controlling games. Now, don't get me wrong, Real Madrid, you've just got that absolute wealth of experience and professionalism there. You've got some of the most elite, best footballers in that team. So they are good. They are the team to beat.
They are the team to beat. But the favourites, if they play Inter, AC, Real, or United, but any one of them teams can beat City.
It's football, isn't it? Like
but not just that though. They play a counter-attacking style and they carry threats. That's why they're at this juncture. We'll have to wait and see. But obviously, you're
in the league. I just don't see him losing in the league.
You are a United fan, aren't you?
I am a United fan, but I'm also a football fan. And I'm realistic.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I'm just checking.
No, well, you're the one who opened up saying, "Oh, do you still think City are going to do the treble?" That was a conversation that I had with you. You said, "Oh, put a bet on it for the odds."
Let me ask you: if I start a sentence, can you finish it?
Go on then.
The audacity of
hope.
There you go. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with a bit of that? Do you know what? Like I said, do you know what I'm looking for?
Why? Because I hope that United will win the Europa League.
Do you know? I hope. Do you know what I want though?
And what happened? Do you know what I want? Absolutely battered.
Do you know what I want? I want a Liverpool double, the FA Cup and the League Cup. I want an open top bus parade. You can take it through to Anfield. We'll see. So, hey guys, we're back with your trophies. Yeah.
No, for United now, it needs to be. There has to be a real focus. We're depleted. Got a lot of injuries. We need a top 4 finish.
I want to say something else because why not? I do feel like Liverpool pundits have absolutely spent the last decade, like just farting all over United. Mildly, even when they're with like diarrhea farts, taking them pills that they're doing, what is it?
I don't know if that's necessary, but
honestly, because I've been hearing a lot of verbal diarrhea about Martinez being 5'9", Casemiro's there for everyone. You know what I mean? Ericsson's not world class. Danny Murphy, Graham Souness, James Bednar, everybody, obviously they're all at it. There's no one. The only
Martinez is proved.
The only person I don't mind. The only person I don't mind is the guy on ESPN who used to play Phil Nichols. Stevie Nichols.
Yeah.
I just feel like he calls a spade a spade. I think he's a bit more honest, where the other guys, I just feel like they're there putting in their little fanboy agendas. But
you saw that in your post-match analysis.
Let me just get back to my point before I forget it, right? So my point was, right, Liverpool, it's just great to see them struggling for Europa League or Conference League. And you know what, right? What they should do if they were Liverpool, and it might be hard for Klopp to do this, but if he had something like high-level intellect and trust of the board, tank like they do NBA, just lose your games. You do not want to go in that Conference League and Europa League next season. Just stay out of it, and get a week's rest. And then you will climb back to the top without the same level of squad as if you go. You don't need it.
You can't do that anymore in
no,
football.
Probably can't, can
the
you?
Money implications of where you finish.
But every time they win, I keep thinking, is that Conference or Europa League? Because do you know what? That'd be nasty. That'd be a real. Whereas if they're out, like Antonio Conte in Inter won the league once they were knocked out of the Europa League and Champions League. They were out of it completely. Yeah, the season before they couldn't challenge and they got to the final, lost. The year after they got knocked out of the Champions League in the group stage, finished, I think it was fourth, so they didn't win Europa League. And then they won the title with a week's rest. I mean, he did the same at Chelsea as well, Conte.
I like where you're coming from, me, with the assassination of the other teams. But where I'm at with United at the moment is
what about Chelsea?
God. But where I'm at with United at the moment is we're still a work in progress. I don't want to start slating other clubs.
No, but teams. You know what? We've got the big piece. We've got the big piece.
You just said your piece. I'm saying my piece.
Okay.
With United, what I don't want is I don't want to start slating other teams. Oh, Chelsea, the wheels are falling off. Spurs, Liverpool, this, that, and the other, because we are still a work in progress.
What do you mean slating other teams?
What's happened this season is the connection. There's been trust built back up between the squad and between us, particularly at home when United are at home. I like watching them. The excitement, they've got me excited again. They're putting some good performances in, but they're still losing these big games.
We lost to Newcastle away. We lost to Liverpool.
Now we've got a final to look forward to. We've got a final to look forward to, and we need to cement the top four finish. That for me is a good season.
Do you know what? Right now we've got no Martinez and we've got no Varane. The core of what makes our team. But
the best piece of TV though this year has got to be Conte. Do you know what? I have to say it on Coyle's Catcher Corner. I didn't have a problem with what he said. He was honest and he called it how it is. And you can see Spurs now just falling on their own sword.
I just don't think they should have fired him. At the end of the day, you bought Conte to be passionate, ruffle feathers, and make your team winners. He played his cards. That was his hand. That was his royal flush. He played it on the table. Yeah, it was a bit nasty. Yeah, but that's who he is. That's how he tries to cheat him up. And before you let the fruits of his labour pay dividends, before you allowed it to see what would happen with the team, because he was going to hold people accountable.
Yeah, of course.
And what you do is you sack him and give them all a pass. It's just like, no, let him stay there for at least another month. You're already paying his contract up. No, let him in there.
Well, you saw what they did.
Or maybe fine him. You can fine him. You can say, listen, we're going to fine you a couple of weeks' wage for talking disrespectfully about the club. We don't expect that.
Well, they were after a trophy, weren't they? Get to a final and then let Mourinho go. So Spurs, they basically only got themselves to blame.
It's the Mourinho thing, isn't it? It's Mourinho, it's the Conte. They're in the top four. Spursy. What can you say?
Top four finish for United. I mean, if they could get if they win the FA Cup, then why not? Let's have an open bus into Liverpool.
Let's get Liverpool double on the go. But now I'm not thinking that City are going to get the treble, but I think they could. But I don't think they will. I think
I think Real Madrid might be just too much in the Champions League.
Do you know,
I think they'll win the league.
Do you know that?
And I think it's going to take something incredible for United to overturn.
No, but here's what I'm thinking. I'm just thinking that, like City, what I've seen from them in the last seasons in the big games, the Chelsea, the Real Madrid, I've seen them capitulate at times. I've seen them not be able to produce their level performance.
You've not seen that this season.
Wait. Just in the Champions League, though. And I know when they went out to Tottenham, what I'm saying, ever since that 3-0 against Liverpool, there's been a psychological issue in the Champions League. And maybe they're going to get it right this year, although they've got to play Real Madrid. But I just think there are these little questions. They look a lot more fluid and more dangerous with Haaland. It could be there, yeah. But all I'm saying is, for them to get a treble, I'll see it when I see it. And if they do it, they'll deserve it. There's no doubt about it. They'll need luck. Remember United with Schmeichel's penalty save after that rubbish penalty that Phil Neville gave away and Roy Keane getting sent off and the Ryan Giggs wonder goal. It took all that in them moments to get United over the line. The Bayern Munich, the 2 late goals. So, and we were a great, resilient team. This City is great in their own right, but, a lot of things are going to have to happen because they are beatable, particularly in them cup competitions. United can beat them, so can Inter, so can AC. So I didn't think last year Real Madrid had a chance. The way PSG were just dominating them over 2 legs, and they just kept rising from the dead. They kept rising from the dead. If they can do it, why wouldn't AC Milan dream? Why wouldn't Real dream? If he can do a dribble like that and run past the whole team, that's George Weah stuff.
I think Milan will beat Inter. But I just think whoever wins City and Real Madrid will probably win it.
So who you with it? Inter or AC? Who's going to...
AC, I think, for the Italian leg, the Milan
Who
derby.
do you want to win it?
I'm not really bothered. I can see Real Madrid winning the Champions League, to be honest, the more I think about it. Don't get me wrong, I think that versus City, I will be watching both legs very carefully because it's going to be an absolute fest of football, isn't it? But
the thing is, I almost have preferred AC Milan in the past, although I prefer Baggio at Inter to Baggio at Milan. But no, I almost prefer AC Milan as a club, but Inter have got Bastoni and Barella, and I think they're 2 quality players, and if they go on and have a great career, it's going to be great for Italy. Whereas for AC, I'm looking at Tonali. I'm looking, there's not as much Italian influence throughout the Calabria. There's not much through the squad. But I think they might have the best chance to do it. I don't know. It looks like a 50-50, doesn't it?
When's the Spain game?
It's June.
It's absolutely June. Get it in your diaries, guys. Yeah, that's the next biggie.
June.
Right, come on, United. Let's stop the party and have an open bus. Liverpool double.
Liverpool double.
I love that.
Yeah, so we play in Spain 15th of June.
15th of June, right.
In the Final Four. So just to see what Mancini brings to the table and if he tries to experiment. But that's all from us. Nice to be back in the house and Erik ten Hag doing wonderful things. Italy taking a big L against England, but not as big an L as the Liverpool have been taking all season. So yeah, Champions League, City for the treble. Ew, wouldn't that be horrible? All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll check in with you next time.
One and a half day.
The season closes out. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.